Well, we can always be physical, you know. I mean, I don't know if they can. If there's a limit to being physical, but I think that you know, talking to Coach Mora and UCLA guys, they thought we were a physical team, you know. So I don't think it's a matter of that. I think they're a good team. I mean, we went against a quality defense, but we don't help ourselves when we don't all 11 do what we're supposed to, and. You place the blame on a lot of different places, but overall we have to do a better job. Coaches and players, and the goal is just try to put forth our best effort, make sure that we're all clicking. I mean, we haven't played our best football yet, and we lost 2 games by a total of 4 points. So that's discouraging, you know. Especially since we'd like to be in a position where going into our next game this deep in the season, we should be playing a lot better, a lot more side by side in every phase, and that's the goal this week, is to be focused on making sure that we don't show up as we did the last 3 games. I mean, that's to be honest with you, we've got to play our best football. It's got to happen this week.
You said you evaluate the quarterback play after watching the film. You said after the game. What did that evaluation?
Same thing like I thought. I mean, there's a lot of different variables. I know everybody looks at one position and likes to blame it on one person, but there's so many different things that go into it with a quarterback. And talking about Taysom, the worst thing you can do is panic and make a change on stuff that you're just seeing on the field when it's not actually just that one spot. There's a lot of different variables that go into it: protection, routes, and the timing. So looking at it again, it's kind of what we thought, that it would have been a premature decision to make that decision then, and I'm glad we didn't, because that's why we have a great coaching staff and to evaluate everything. And you know, we have to be able to, in order for us to really evaluate everyone's got to do their part first. And when you have some mental breakdowns along the way, it's tough to blame it all on one person.
Does that mean Taysom will be the starter?
Yeah, he'll be the starting quarterback. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We just talked about how it's hard to blame it on one person. I think it'd just be foolish right now to make it a scapegoat, you know, when it wasn't all his fault. So I think that's a wrong assessment from a lot of different people, and we're looking to get better so we can evaluate every position, you know. And that's one position that I mean, you look at the game and you look at some of the misthrown balls that Josh Rosen made. He's supposed to be a great draft pick in the future. He had some air curls as well, you know. But whenever you're looking at it as a whole, you can't blame it on one person when it's not all his fault. So we're not going to do that.
Kalani, is the lack of production with the running game more of a product of UCLA's front being solid?
Yeah, a little bit of both. I mean, I think they loaded the box and they were challenging us in the throw game, and you know, when that happens, we need to make them pay for it. And I don't know if we were able to do that. I mean, obviously we weren't, but that's the only way you can get them out of it, you know. And sometimes you're just going to have to just run the ball into that situation. And not every call is going to be a perfect call, but I thought Ty did a great job calling the game. We just got to execute better.
What was your assessment of the offensive line without a Louis in there?
Obviously, you want all your guys. I mean, Louis been banged up all camp, you know, and that's in some ways when you're missing some practice time, it hurts, you know, as being able to run so many plays that we do. So I think not having him in, I mean, obviously you want all your guys, but we have to deal with it. That's part of college football, is dealing with your depth. And I thought Austin and Tom's coming in did some good things, you know, but we can always improve. We can always be better. And I just like it to be a more cleaner game on the offensive side, so we can, you know, we've shown flashes. We've been able to score points when we need to in a 2-minute situation, and we just need to see more consistency from every position, because when we're clicking, it works well.
What's the balance, Connie, between both offensively and defensively of doing what's expected and out executing the opponent versus trying to surprise them or come up with things that they're not ready for?
Well, there's not a lot of surprises in college football. I mean, in football altogether, it's tough to surprise your opponent. I think that everyone's pretty much prepared for it, and so we just have to have stuff and find our identity on every phase, and be able to have something to hang your hat on, you know. And right now, offensively, we don't have that right now, you know, so, when we need to get a play, you usually go to your go-to, situations type of plays, and we're still trying to find that, and it's way too late going into game 4 right now, so we've got to establish that soon and find our identity and go with it. I think that, you know, I've said it before that the new system, it's been in place for a while now, so it's time to start executing and start mastering some of these plays, some of these schemes.
Does the fact you're playing a Big 12 team this Saturday and with the conference realignment talk that's going on, does that add intrigue or?
No, that's
to
doesn't
this
add
game?
anything. I mean, I'm not worried about anything other than West Virginia. Well-coached team, they got some momentum, they're coming off a bye. You know, so we're focused on the opponent, not worried about all the politics and everything behind it. That's not even entered our mind. Right now, we're focused more on ourselves, trying to get ready and making sure that we play assignment sound football so that we can make some improvement, you know, on the offensive, defensive, and special teams phases. So that has no bearing on what we're doing in our preparation right now.
You're a senior. You guys made like 3 trips to the East Coast, I think, within a month. What are some of the challenges of taking a team clear across the country and playing?
I think when you go to 2 time zones, you know, it makes it difficult. So we're leaving a day early, trying to get acclimated to the area, and we'll practice here Thursday and then head out there, and I'll be ready to go. And that's, other than that, the climate will be. I think the kickoff is at 3:30 there, so it'll be pretty hot. But you know, it's college football. It's gonna be hot for us. It's gonna be hot for them.
What was it like for you as a player to make those trips back east? What do you remember about
Man,
it?
you're testing my memory now. It was fun, you know. I mean, we played in a lot of different places. Played against Florida State and Virginia. And, I don't know. I think if you give it too much power, you know, it's difficult and everything. We're gonna have a lot of fans there. It's a neutral site, you know. So we saw what happened in the last neutral site game we had. So looking forward to playing a great place, you know, FedEx Field, and having our players be in the nation's capital. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Playing at NFL stadiums, you're second this year. I think next year you play in Houston.
Mm-hmm.
Do you use that in recruiting at all? Is that a topic that comes up, or?
I mean, this is something that probably can get spin it, but I like to go to more than anything, look at what we have to offer as a program and as a school, rather than focus on stuff that only happens, you know, once or twice a year. So that's, we're gonna sell BYU, the university, and sell our football program before we sell anything else on that.
Kalani, what are your impressions of West Virginia's offense? Reputation is high-powered.
Yeah, I mean, they have the ability to score, and they have a bunch of athletes, and we've seen great athletes for the first 3 games, and so no different, you know. And it's we were excited for the schedule, and now we're looking at it and saying, let's go. You know, this is another challenge, and they're a high-powered offense. I mean, Rich Rod has his footprint there, obviously, and so there's some familiar things that we've seen, but there's also some things that they do differently to go with their skill and their talent. So it's going to be a challenge, but I think that we'll be in a good position, especially if we play our type of ball and if everybody's playing assignment cell and doing all their jobs. I think I'm excited for that.
You've talked about how depth is something you're always wanting to develop. How's the depth right now after 3 games, 3 pretty physical games?
Yeah, I mean, that I think I've mentioned it before about our weight room conditioning and everything. I think that's helping us stay as healthy as we can, especially playing the high caliber type of teams that we're playing. And we play physical style football, but I think our guys working out and staying away. We had a great lift again today. I mean, that's going to be our motto. We're going to keep working hard in the off season. I mean, in the weight room, and that's going to be our deal. But that helps keep you healthy, and it helps keep us strong, and it's going to pay off in the long run, especially when teams are starting to wilt. You know, right now we're still getting stronger, and all we have to do is just play smart, play assignment sound. That's the encouraging part, is that we've lost. I mean, it's sad and encouraging at the same time. We lost 2 games by a total of 4 points, and we haven't even played close to what we can do to our potential, especially on the offensive side. But we're still got a lot of ways to go, and I'm encouraged by the improvement we're going to make this week.
We saw Fred Warner limp off the field. Any update on him?
Oh, he's going to be fine. Yeah, it's no big deal.
staying with injuries, are you expecting Louis back, and also Jake Oldright, he was absent at the
Yeah, we're still looking at Jake and Louis is gonna be. We'll see how it progresses right now, but those are tough to say right now. I'm not the trainer, but you know, we'd always like. I mean, last week I know a lot of people there were some questions about other players, but I just, you know, sometimes it comes down to the game time decision, and for me to make a statement right now on Monday, it's difficult for me to tell the future.
There were fans voicing their displeasure at times during the game, booing. At least one of your players addressed that on social media. What's your take? Do you hear the boos and
Oh, no, I
reaction
mean,
to that?
my job isn't to tell fans what to do, you know. They can, that's why they're called fans. They can voice their opinions however they want. And I didn't know about our players voicing or whoever did what, but our players appreciate our fans. I appreciate our fans. We know there's a lot of great loyal fans. We've seen it. We've seen it. We saw it Saturday night. We see it everywhere we go. So I really I appreciate the support that we're getting. I know our players do too. And so if there's a few, fans that voice their obviously displeasure, that's okay. That's their right. Like I said, we got to give them more to cheer about, and that's my job. And we'll get it going. And our players, all of them show appreciation, and but we're not in the business of telling fans how to act and how to follow. I'm just grateful that they're there, that we have the support however you take it. And if there's boos, let's turn it into cheers. That's my job.
Speaking of depth, do you expect any late additions? We saw some guys on the sidelines who aren't on the roster. Will there be any, or? I'm
I
talking
don't
about like
know,
Kyle
just fishing
Johnson,
or something?
Sione Takita. Well, like Kyle Johnson, is he?
Well, he's not healthy yet, no. So, no, if they're in pads, then there's a chance that they could play, but if they're not, then no. Yeah.
Brad Wilcox is.
No, he's not in pads, so he won't play. So that's, yeah.
Any
You were
familiar,
fishing for something.
Anything else?
any familiarity with Dana Holgerson at all in your past?
Yeah, so I mean, I've been a big fan. I followed him. I've seen, if you look back in the history of football, there's I remember when Hal Mummy and Mike Leach and all those guys used to be here, and he comes from that tree, so they used to come here in the spring when I was playing. And so I've kind of followed them a little bit as they kind of branched out and went different places. And so there's a lot of, in the route progression, a lot of things that are really familiar, but he's a great coach, and does a great job with his program. And they have their own, he has his own style to it, but the foundation is there. But I mean, you look at the history of college coaching, especially when it goes to individuals like a head coach, you can kind of find their root. I mean, if you look at my background, you can find where my philosophy and things come from defensively and offensively. So same thing with him, but he's got his own scheme and his own style, and it's really, really effective. And he has a great staff that does a great job coaching. And you're not going to find a lot of coaches that have success without being great coaches themselves. And he's up there with the best of them.
Last question?
Coach, is Taysom kind of going through a learning curve? I mean, in the past, he would always make those amazing plays, scrambling and get out of there. Against UCLA, he got caught, and I think everybody was like, wow, that's not really Taysom. Is he trying to figure out what he needs to do in those moments?
Yeah, but I think the secret of Taysom is it's no longer a secret. I think that looking at UCLA, they did some things to limit his movement, and so like I said, they try to challenge him in different ways, and he's got to find ways to make plays. If it's not through his legs, then he's got to find a way to do it with his arm. But there's things that we can do to help Taysom and put him at his strengths. That we can do offensively, and we did a little bit of that, but we just got to be more consistent and get him in a position where he can just do well all the time and feel comfortable. Because you're right. I mean, the transition and everything. We just got to. We've talked about it before, allowing him to feel comfortable. And in the 2-minute situations, we're 3 for 3 and we're running down and scoring. So I don't know. Maybe that's something that he's more comfortable with, and he seemed a little bit more comfortable in that type of setting. And there's no ego involved here, so we're not going to do our own thing just despite our own scheme, our own thoughts and philosophy. We'll do whatever it takes to win, and that's one of those things that we've definitely explored, and just want to allow him to play at his best.